Do you think that you could get clear on something today? Do you think that you can get clear on something 20 years from today? Do you think you need 20 years to find clarity? Or do you think that clarity is something that is easily achievable? The point that we're making is that thoughts and alignment of thoughts are easily achievable, and you usually don't assign the necessity of time to them. In other words, I can be happy or sad today. I can be happy or sad 20 years from today, but I don't need 20 years to go from sad to happy. I could focus that into being today. And we want you to understand that everything is that way, but it is your action orientation and your belief in how long it takes to gather up. If you can think of money as energy rather than as money, then you can shorten the timeline. We would focus upon the outcome that you're reaching for rather than the means that you believe is necessary to accomplish it. If you think about what you want and why you want it, the energy is usually clear. But if you think about what you want and how you're going to get it and when it's going to come and what it's going to require and who's going to be there, then you introduce a lot of unnecessary questions to which you don't have the answers, which just piles resistance, which makes the timeline have to be more spread out. But it doesn't need to be. The universe can deliver it to you as quickly or as slowly as you believe it to be. And that's why sometimes when people talk to us about big goals, that they have big goals, we encourage them to not put those extra descriptive words around it, because when it feels big, then you mean it feels slow, or it feels harder, or it feels less likely. You just sort of want to find the feeling of it, which can be clean and resistance free right now. This is something that we have heard from many people over time. I want this big sum of money, but I'm going to do a lot of good with it. In a sort of justifying, I need the justification for doing the good before I will allow the good to come to me. And we want you to just want it. We cannot assign monetary value to energy, and when you stop doing it, you'll get a lot more bang for your buck. This is the same subject that we've talked about earlier, where you're wanting to bridge or blend the action with the energy, or the physical with the non-physical. We're just suggesting to you that your practicality, your wanting to look at it through your physical eyes before the energetic work is done, will slow the energetic work down. It's a little bit like the discussion of when to offer the action, and we say offer the action once you're completely in alignment. When you're completely in alignment, then there's no resistance. But if you're offering the action or even contemplating the action before you're completely in alignment, then it feels like a really big hard thing to do. And nothing is a really big hard thing to do when you have the leverage that creates worlds flowing with you. Don't get your desire ahead of your belief. If you get your desire ahead of your belief, then it's uncomfortable. Then you have to add decades to the process. But what if your desires just called your belief into alignment? What if your desire is uninhibited because you put it there, it's there and it's real? And what if your inner being is all over it and calling all of the cooperative components? And do you know how you'll know when you're a cooperative component? When it doesn't feel hard to do, when it just feels like the next logical step. The next logical step is not to take any action. The next logical step is to enjoy the whole idea of it, to take pleasure from the idea of it. Because what trips everyone up is having a goal that they can't see the means to the end. So what you want to do is use the power of your focus to let this intention be utterly and only satisfying. No downside. It's in vibrational form. Do you know every empire, even every relationship, every magnificent creation, really every creation, is accomplished vibrationally almost immediately, long before you allow the physical bricks and nails and boards and sports people to become part of the equation. Do you believe that you have the ability to take pleasure from the vibrational form of your creation? Because that's really what you got to do. You got to take pleasure and only pleasure from the vibrational form of your creation. And when you've got that nailed down, then all of the other pieces will come into place. But when you believe that you've got to figure out how or where or when the other pieces are going to come into place before you let yourself take pleasure in it, then it gets all lopsided. Replace the doubt with the pleasure of the idea. We want you to all receive the benefit of this conversation, because most people have an idea or a goal that they want to achieve, and they feel like it needs to be accomplished before they can really settle into the pleasure of it. Once I get this, then I will have the success that I wanted, and then everything clicks together. We want it to click together in the vibrational phase. And you know, when it's come together, the success that you're looking for, we want the desire of it to be all that you need to find. Thoughts are turning to things. And once you've put something into the vortex, it's gathering the cooperative components. And minus your doubt, the cooperative components would all come into place. Do you see yourself as one of the cooperative components? Because if there's hesitation, you're not. If you're trying to let yourself off the hook, then you're not. You have to allow yourself to be a free flowing vibrational particle that can be attracted by the idea of your desire. Step one is you gave birth to it. Step two is it's alive and it's real, and your inner being and all of the forces, all of the leverage that creates worlds, it's all there for you. You have to let yourself go with it. If you have given birth to it, you will never be able to hold yourself apart from something important that you've given birth to and be joyful. So it's not just giving up the idea of the dream, it's giving up the happiness that the dream promises. The whole point of wanting it is for the happiness that the dream promises, and then the manifestations, it has to come. You either believe or you don't. Ask for a whole bunch of things that are just the right size until you have shown yourself that all things are possible. When it's really within you, you're saying, I got this going on, just thought I'd let you know. Watch for it, you'll see it, remember my face. The things that life helps you to define that you want are not because anybody needs to create that. It's not that that is necessary for the upliftment of the universe. The reason that the ideas occurred to you is so that you will have a focal point in this time and space reality upon which you can find alignment with your inner being, so that you can feel the power or the invincibility of your creative prowess, not because you needed to create it, but because it feels good to be in the process of creating. There are so many things that you want to create, and you think that the creation of that is the main event. It isn't. It's just the reason to flow the energy, which is the main event. It's the feeling of things coming into place. It's the pointing and feeling the power of the universe flowing through you. And it's the necessity of finding alignment, which is what true life is. So the things that you ask for are only the reason for the necessary alignment, but it's a necessary alignment that is really what you're reaching for. You've discovered that big things ring your bells. Small things don't ring your bells after big things have rung your bells. You can't go back. There's no going back. You can't be a magnificent creator and then be excited about creating something that's really mediocre. And once you've tasted the energy that creates worlds, and you've felt it pulsing through you, and you've seen the results of it, you can't go back to something that you don't feel that way about. You always have to feel that way and more, that way and more. You got to be a big thinker, which means you got to go along with your inner being who thinks big.